I'm calling the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors to order and like to welcome everyone that's here to attend tonight and those that are listening on the video tonight, that we welcome you to listen, and we will have public comment, and you're welcome to speak tonight and obey the rules that we'll give you to speak. But it is good to see everybody in the audience, and we've got a busy night tonight. So anyway, we'll start with prayer, and if it's okay, I'll lead us in prayer tonight. Father, as we bow in your holy presence, God, tonight we thank you, Father, for this opportunity, God, that you've given us today to have another day of life. We thank you, God, for what this week means to us, and that you died on the cross for our sins this week, Father. And we just ask you, God, to look after those that are sick and afflicted. Look after those that are in need tonight, God. And Father, as we bow, we ask you, God, to help us as leaders of this county, that we'll make the best decision possible for the citizens of our county and the citizens and the county itself. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Amen. And it was Richard's turn to say the pledge, so Ms. Lester, you want to say it?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is we have several recognitions that we want to do today. And our first recognition is for the Scholastic team that had such a outstanding, I guess it was
They won the state championship
you won the state championship.
in their region.
Yes. And I have a plaque that's presented to Ridgeview High School Scholastic team in recognition for your outstanding performance during the 2023 season and 2024 season. District champions with an undefeated record of 12-0. Class 2 state champions, Dickinson County Board of Supervisors, March the 26th of 2024. It's very nice. And we've got certificates for all of them, and I think we want you to come up front if you don't care. You want to come around this way, Larry? You think it'd be better if they come up here?
I think we'll go on the stage. I think that'd be a good idea. We can hand out their certificates and give them their plaque and get a picture with them.
Rhonda, you don't want to give them out since this was your idea to do this?
I can, but you're the chairman. That'll probably be more professional. I'm so proud of all of them, and I'm proud this Adrian White was their coach. And the other fellow was assistant coach. Mr. Holden.
Look at your
Dingus.
plaque, it's really nice.
And
See, I got
we're
something else
very
here.
proud, not only of our sports,
Okay, thank you.
but of Scholastic. I mean, you
Oh,
know,
and that's something you have in your school.
sometimes I think we put a little bit too much emphasis on sports, and we need to put it on so we got a lot of intelligent young people at Ridgeview, and I'm very proud of them.
We got the
Very.
best kids.
And Adrian, anything you want to say?
Well, we
He's our
got,
coach,
yeah.
and this is their coach, Mr. Dingus, the co-coach, so go ahead, Adrian.
I said, don't let anybody tell us we don't have the best kids, but we got the best kids here. And that's the truth.
That's right.
Let's give it
I am proud of you. Landon Couch. David Farmer. Connor Kaiser.
He's at his soccer match.
Okay.
Mathlete.
You want to take his?
Yes, I will.
And Julian Castellan?
Yeah, that's me.
What is it?
Julia.
Julie, okay, thanks. Congratulations. Alex Steller? Is he here?
Alexis staff?
Alexis Stout.
No, she's not here.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's working.
And Sophie Greer.
Sophie and Daniel had an appointment this evening. So I'll take Sophie and Daniel.
And Daniel?
Daniel's his appointment also.
They're working kids too.
Yeah,
That's good.
sports, working, everything. We do it all.
And I have Alex Smith.
It's right here.
And,
Did we miss one?
Oh, Tiger.
did I miss one?
I don't see it here. We must have.
We must have missed one. No, we don't.
Yeah.
We'll go down and check
Did I
Tracy.
give you one of those?
We'll see that you
That's
get-
stuck together?
What is your name, sweetheart?
Connor Kaiser.
Huh?
Tiger Moore.
So, yeah, no missing one.
Okay.
We'll get that till you bring it up to the school,
We'll
so.
bring it to school for you. Sorry about
No,
that.
you're
But I'm
fine.
so proud of you.
We're very proud.
Yes.
You want to get up there so we can get a photograph with them?
Sure.
Here, coach you. Coach you.
The board members want to come out.
We might be glad that you
Step
do.
down on the step.
I wish I had your intelligence.
Behind them.
And get behind them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Let's get behind
You want me to get, here, I'll get behind a little bit if you want. You might get lost.
Yeah, you're okay, I'll be right here.
Dave's done a lot. You were run first up in something, wasn't it? What was
And we're sorry, Mr. Richard, he's running a little bit late.
Tell us that, what was you?
It's been a lot.
He's won a lot, I'll tell you right now. Shut up.
There we go.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Proud of all of you.
I think
Thank you all.
Thank you, Adrian.
Appreciate everybody. Thank you all, guys.
Thank you all.
Have a good night.
And we'll get hers.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shut up, Rhonda.
Okay, I guess I'll just keep standing. I have another one to give out. This one is some volunteers that do a tremendous job in our county picking up trash. They volunteer to do it. And I saw the people in my district day in and day out picking it up, and it's unreal how much they pick up and how many miles that they do in a day's time, and they don't do it just one time, they do it often. And we are going to recognize those tonight. And the first one is Darrell and Lily Thacker. Are they here tonight?
Yep.
We'll ask y'all to come up front, okay? Go ahead and read the next. Go ahead.
And this one, the second one goes to Tommy Childress. And it says, in recognition of your many hours spent cleaning up along many miles of roadways in Dickinson County, thus making our communities cleaner, we truly appreciate your effort in making our communities a better place to live. Dickinson County Board of Supervisors, March 26 to 24. And all of them say the same thing.
And I have one that's on here that we have to have redone, and it's Barry and Gina Wallace. We had it made without her name on it, so we're gonna do it over. They're not here tonight. Alex Sless, is he here tonight? Barry Wallace, is he here tonight?
Thank you, Tommy.
We buried you.
And the other one is Rosalie Fleming.
And Benny and Zelda Kennedy. They had an eye appointment today, and they wasn't sure they was gonna get back in time. And Ronnie and Karen Rose, are you here? They're not here. I'll take theirs. And,
Let's do another picture board.
Yeah, we will.
yeah, we will. Let's do that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't care.
Thank you all for all that you do, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I tried to get my people here from the Ridge, I had two from the Ridge, tried to get them here, but they had iPhone today. And they said they would try to make it.
All right, we ready? Smell it. Okay, I got about 20, but we're good.
But thank you all for what you do.
Here's your plastic sleeve if you want to put it back down.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you all.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you. We enjoy
Yeah, we
it.
appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate all you guys
We
do.
appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
We have a lot.
Thank you all for what you do. We appreciate it. So,
I'm gonna lay these over here.
Okay. I'll be back. Okay. This we don't need. Wish we could come on. Okay. The next thing on our agenda.
There it is.
There he is. You better be getting here.
You're working, man.
Some people have to work, don't they, Richard?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, we're down to approving the minutes. Richard, we're number 3 on the agenda.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Glad to be here.
The first thing is to approve the special call meeting on February the 26th of 2024, our regular meeting on February 22nd, 2024, and our budget workshop of March the 5th, 2024. Do you want to do them all at one time, or you separate? It doesn't matter with me.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for the special meeting, the regular meeting, and the budget workshop.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or any concerns or any corrections? If not, how do you vote, Ms. Les?
Yes.
Mr. Thacker?
Yes.
And Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
And Mr. Hall?
Yes.
And I also. The next thing on the agenda is to approve the agenda, and we do have some additions, correct? No, we don't, they're just on your,
right.
just,
Just
okay.
stuff that wasn't in your packet, so.
Does anybody have anything to add to the agenda?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
As presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second that we approve the agenda as presented. Is there any questions or anything? If not, Ms. Les, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Mr. Thacker?
Yes.
And Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
And Mr. Hall?
Yes.
And I also. The next thing on the agenda is our consent agenda, and this is to approve our expenditures, county administrator's report, drug court, animal control, fire and rescue report, litter control report, building officials report, and economic development update. So, do you want to approve those all at one time? Or does anybody have a question, or anybody have a statement to make about them?
There's no questions, I make a motion, we approve them all.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I would just like to say that our litter control has, looks like has picked up 655 bags of trash from the 19th day of February to March 14th. And some of these places on this list where he's been, I've been back over these roads and there's more trash out. I don't know if it's flying out of people's trucks or exactly what, but, 655 bags in a month and then go back around and see it still throwed out, is sort of sad. And then on our rescue reports, it's sad that our rescue has had to make calls for, they list the numbers on their reports of how many that they went for sick or breathing or traumatic or stroke or whatever. And when you see overdose, suicide attempts, it's sad. For that many in a month's time between our local fire and rescue departments. That's all, but everybody's been doing a good job.
This is besides the trash that these individuals that we recognize
Yes.
tonight, that's done besides what our litter control people in the county are doing.
Right.
And our county is looking better, but it's just constantly, every week, you go over and over. So our citizens need to be more concerned about throwing trash out and do like me, carry a Food City bag. That's what I do in my car.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Did we vote on that? Or, no, we have, I had a discussion.
Yes.
Anybody else got anything to say concerning the reports? I appreciate what all of our people are doing. Our rescue and fire, they're just out constantly, according to our reports, and I appreciate it. If no other discussions, Mr. Hall, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Thacker?
Aye.
And Ms. Sluss?
Yes.
And I also. Okay, that brings us down to public comment, number 6. And I'll ask Mr. Sturgill if he'll give the rules
Okay.
go ahead and come up here if you want, to the podium. And we ask you to state your name and address so for the clerk to put in the minutes, okay?
And it's upon recognition by the chairman, the speaker shall address himself to the chairman, and if at the conclusion of the remarks, any member of the Board of Supervisors desires further information, the member will address the speaker with permission of the chairman. There shall be a time limit for each individual speaker of 3 minutes. A representative of a group may have up to 5 minutes to make their presentation. Speakers are not permitted to donate time to other speakers. No speaker's time shall be extended except by unanimous consent or 2/3 vote of the board member present. And persons appearing before the board will not be allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, use profanity, use language which insults or demeans any person when directed at a public official or employee when not related to his or her duties. However, citizens have the right to comment on the performance, conduct, and qualification of public figures, make frivolous statements, interrupt other speakers, or engage in behavior that disrupts the meeting, engage in behavior that intimidates others, and address the board on issues that do not concern the services, policies, or affairs of the county.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Teddy M. Taylor, 1796 Reedy Ridge. We've got a problem here in the county that no one wants to look at. It has to do with that refuge pile up there come Fluor 1. Well, people don't realize that this is not only Reedy Ridge. This affects a high school, 4-way, people in Bice Ridge and everywhere. I've got your safety sheet here. Each one of you can have a copy. Somebody needs to check into this. I've been onto them for about 10 years. They do not have no long-term study on this thing. I've asked them several times, which amazes me. The product is manufactured in Canada, it's shipped down to Georgia, and then it comes up this way. So here is the sheets. And the reason I want to give this to y'all, I'm a whistleblower. When stuff comes down, it's gonna be on y'all. You're the ones that run the county, so y'all can do what you want to do. But that school ain't but a mile and a half from that god pile. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. You don't know the volume that's out there, so you need to look into that. And we're not asking to shut them down or nothing like that. We're asking them to use something to clean that coal with that they've got a study on that says it's not going to be harmful to humans or animals or whatever. That's all we're asking for. So here's your copies. Chris has done got one,
Give them to the
Pass 'em on
clerk
down
and
there.
she'll pass them out for us.
and that's all I have to say on it.
Thank you.
Good enough?
Thank you. Do you all want to make a comment? Because I know you studied it, Larry and Mr. Thacker. You all have been.
Again, after we talked,
Numerous
I reached out to Mr. Thacker. He's our emergency management coordinator. He works a lot with the state. He's got close ties with people at the state. He'd reach out to them on this. And of course, I began working with Randy Moore at Virginia Energy, trying to get more information on this, and with some folks at DEQ, because I learned, as far as when it comes to the gob, what comes out there, DEQ actually regulates the air quality and the water quality. And then Virginia Energy, the former DMME, regulates, what happens at the plant itself. And through the process and going through this, they just got back with me today and provided me a letter. They had, Dickinson Russell Contura had submitted a letter to requesting to change chemicals back in October of 2023. And on December 4th, 2023, DEQ replied back in their letter that they had no issues with this change. And they're changing to a Floman F221 from the Floman 110C to Floman F221. And I'll give you this safety data sheet that they sent me. I just got it, an hour before the meeting. But one thing I know you was concerned about, the MCHM, they told me it did not have any MCHM in it, because I think that was a big concern with the Floman 110C.
I was told by the coal company that this product wasn't dangerous as long as it didn't get in your water supply. Well, everybody's got county water, but they didn't say nothing about eating it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to understand, people cuts hay out there, feed to the cattle and stuff, cattle stay at the
Right.
stock market, not counting the people's got gardens and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you ingest it that way.
Yep.
We wanna know 10, 15 years, 20 years down the road, we're gonna find out this is a cancer agent.
Right.
We got a school up there, ain't a mile and a half from us.
Right. And we appreciate your concern bringing it to our attention. I'll give this to you, and like I said, feel free to reach out to them. They said they had no carcinogens, or they said what they expected to, it says it in that report. I got that about an hour before the meeting. I've got a copy of the letter and stuff they sent me, so anything you want,
Well, we asked them out there, they put in a pit to catch runoff, and they must have changed the law since I worked for Gas Company. I asked them out there, they put a liner in there to contain that stuff. He said it didn't call for one. And I said, well, we're using a product that you can't give us a study on. So would it not be the right thing to put a liner in there and contain this until we find out?
Right.
But they wasn't for that at all.
I said, I don't know a lot, just what they provided. Like I said, I got that just literally a little bit before the meeting, so just reach out. I'll continue to work on it.
You could get a hold of Beckley, West Virginia, that'd be a good place to start, because it shut them down for about 10 days, about 8 years ago.
Yeah, DEQ is filling me in on what happened with that. So we appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Madam Chairman, may I say something? I live
Take
a
a couple
mile.
minutes, because I think Mr. Thacker also wants to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Just go
Richard.
ahead. No, take a couple minutes. Go ahead.
I live a mile from that gob pile. Time to time, I smell what I think is acetone. It smells like fingernail polish. And it amazes me, and I know it does you, Mickey, we have, because you live at the very end of Reedy Ridge, they have destroyed a whole community that I grew up with, Reedy Ridge.
Well, we don't have anything to filter the air. We're cutting all the timber and stuff down, so they can get it straight shot. But y'all need to take a trip out there anytime it's over 60 degrees on a sunny day and look at it. If you notice, that Floman 110 is going back to a powder stage. It looks like it's coming like snow out there on the sides, and that's what I was told. We've got somebody in the family, Sherry's family, that knows about this stuff. He graduated from Virginia Tech, so that's how that, but we gotta worry about our kids. I'm not worried about myself, I'm 70 years old. But the kids are a mile and a half from up there. Have you ever been up there when it's foggy?
Yes.
Well, this stuff can carry airborne, is what we was told. So, we wanna try to protect our school kids and stuff, so
Well,
somebody needs to just find out and get some kind of say, well, no, it ain't harmful or whatever. That's the only concern we got.
I understand, I have the same concerns you do, and I have tried to talk to DEQ. I've stopped down there and asked what they were testing for. It was giving the brush off, more or less. Why they would not put a liner in there, I think they draining the leachate from that gob pile across, they put it down through there. Why they wouldn't put a liner in a pool is beyond my understanding. They do in a landfill.
Well, that was federal law when I worked for the gas company,
Yeah.
and we weren't catching anything but salt water.
Mr. Thacker, you want to speak on it because you've been with Larry on the phone and you've done your research on it also. He's our emergency management
I talked to the
person also.
the hazmat coordinator with the state, and they done some research on it, and they got back to me and said it falls under the Virginia Department of Energy's purview, that it's their responsibility to make sure nothing is hazardous on the gob pile or on the coal plant site itself. And we're still researching it, but from what they tell us right now, it's supposed to be safe.
Well,
But
I asked him about my garden, I said, I'm not 1,000 foot from the chimney where they heat this stuff. I said, well, if it'll have over here on my crop sucks it in, you say I can't drink it, but can I eat it? And he couldn't give me an answer. But if you read the safety sheet, it tells you about inhaling it, ingesting it, or whatever. So we do know there's danger to it.
well, we're still following up on, we're still trying to get some answers. Like Larry said, it was maybe an hour before the meeting, some of the answers come in, and that's part of the reason that I was late. I was still trying to get some answers to bring to
Well, I
you.
just want people aware of it, It's not just one location, it ain't just Reedy Ridge, it affects the surrounding area.
Right, it does.
Ms. Kaiser, you have anything? Mr. Hall, you have anything? Thank you, Mr. Taylor, for bringing it to our attention. And we are doing some research on it.
Thank you
Yeah,
for your time.
we'll continue and follow up, so.
Anyone else want to speak for public comment? All right.
Madam Chair, should we share where we're at on the reassessment for the public to answer some questions maybe before
Yes, if you want.
you want to start?
Our reassessment is required by the state that we do it every 6 years. And this is my 7th reassessment that I've gone through because I worked in a commissioner's office for 24 years. I started out in 1980 in the commissioner's office, and we went from 1/10 of our value to 100% of our value. And every year we do a reassessment, we have to set a levy according to the total of the real estate book. We do not know our total yet because Pearson did our reassessment and they are still doing hearings, so we do not have a total yet. And we will lower the taxes. We know we probably will have to lower the levy. And we haven't got to a figure yet, and we don't know the figures yet to do the levy. And I'll let Mr.
Sure.
Barton elaborate also.
Right, and thank you for sharing that because this is my first reassessment, so I'm kind of learning as I go. She's got the experience of many before. But the one thing I will say is the values on your tickets, and we know everybody's values went up on their homes and things. And, it's been 6 years since a reassessment, but the big thing is the tax rate shown on there, the Virginia Code requires us to show what the tax you would pay would be based on the most recently adopted rate, which would have been the 2023 rate. We've not set the 2024 rate, but we all know that it's going to be lower, and the amount of tax you pay is going to be much lower than what's shown on your tickets. And as Ms. Willis shared, until Pearson's finishes with their hearings that they're conducting now and gets everything complete, we'll see what the total amount is, the total value of real estate in the county. And then what Virginia Code requires us to do, we will have to publish, for 2 weeks prior to our public hearing in the newspaper, online, all that, what the rate would be. Right now, it's 60 cents on 100. So we have to publish what that rate would be equivalent to bring in the same amount of taxes as we are now, whatever that is based on the books. Again, much lower. And then next, whatever rate the board proposes, 'cause first of all, you're gonna see the rate that would put it back exactly where you're at right now. And then in that ad, it's gonna say, this is what the proposed tax rate is. So, we are looking at maybe a couple cents higher than what it is just with inflation and things. But that's kind of where we're at, and right now the reassessors are here. There's a phone number on those notices. They're doing hearings for 2 weeks. If you've got something on your ticket that looks like, this isn't right, I don't think they valued this right because they don't realize I've got these damages or I've got this that maybe they didn't see inside the house because they just come up to the outside and get a picture and kind of look at it. Anything that would change that value that you feel would be less, then definitely, bring a picture of whatever it is or bring whatever documentation. You may have a building on your land that got torn down that didn't get picked up in the reassessment. Please call them. You can come in and meet with them. They'll do phone interviews with you. That's always the first step, to try to get all that in there while they're wrapping up. And then once they get the tax book, once they finish those hearings, get the tax book to us, they're going to set a rate or propose a rate. It'll be advertised. Then after that, your second option is the Board of Equalization. They've appointed a board of 5 that's going to sit through the end of December. There'll be a phone number that's going to be published. We'll be advertising this to call in and schedule a meeting with this group. They will look at whatever your concerns are as to why you think that, your value is incorrect. And they will actually come out. Some of the times they'll actually go out and visit your home, meet with you, let you show them whatever. And this will go on as long as needed till they get everything taken care of. Like I said, they technically sit through the end of December, but everything will happen, pretty much once it gets started. People will start calling in, making appointments. They'll get things scheduled and come out. So, we know it's very panicking to see the tax tickets, the notices that have come out with those higher tax amounts due. But do remember, that's not going to be the correct amount because the rate will be lower. We just don't know what it'll be till we get all the numbers back from Pearson because, ultimately the goal is, first of all, to set it back, whatever 60 cents is now, based on the old values, then there'll be a new rate based on the new values. It's going to be the same revenue to the county. That'll be shown on the notice. Then the proposed rate, if they're proposing any increase or any change at all, it'll show it on there as well. And again, we'll have a public hearing. Last agenda item they've got today is to set a public hearing for April 24th, I think, whatever our next meeting is.
23rd.
April 23rd at 5:30, and everybody have an opportunity again then to come and express their concern over the proposed tax rates. And the rates won't be set until that meeting, until they've heard all the public comment, made their decision, know what those rates will be. So we just wanted to clarify all that first, and welcome anybody that has anything to share to please come up, share with the board in public comment. We just wanted to kind of share the process where we're at. And we've tried to get some stuff out in the newspaper and on social media just to share this out ahead of time to let you know that, we realize the increase in values and, a lot of people show a higher tax and things, and just let you know that we're aware of that and we are working to get that down. We just don't know what the numbers will be until we get all of our information from Pearson, so.
Let me say this. Now, I guess Mr. Shelley Mullins is sitting back here as commissioner. He'll probably get me for saying this, but I would advise anyone to go in and get a copy of your real estate card and look at it in detail.
Amen.
It tells about your outbuildings, your garage, whatever's on that. It's in detail. And I saw his there.
No, that's perfectly fine.
And I would advise anyone to go get a copy of that and look at it. And that way you can tell if something is really wrong with your property. But go ahead.
My name is Stacy Vanover. I've spoken with each one of you. I live at 7052 Carter Stanley Highway in Coburn, Virginia. I've spoken with each one of the supervisors in the last couple of days. Mr. Barton, I appreciate how you've explained the situation, and I am here today to speak on the assessment and the proposed tax rate that's going forward. You mentioned nothing is set, whether it be a 1 or 2% increase. Well, I've just got a question to propose and for everybody to look at and maybe even lay on the table and flip over and look at the other side of it before anybody decides anything. Our cost of living increase this year was 3%. And that's through our retirements, our social securities, and all of that. Before me, received in the mail from Dixon County, I have 3. One is 24%, one is 32%, and one is 33%. Now, it doesn't matter what you call a tax increase on the people. A tax increase is a tax increase. Whether it's sales tax, cigarette tax, gas tax, any kind of tax on us is a tax increase. There are 5,720 some households in Dickinson County. If you raised each one of those households 1 or 2 cents that you were talking about, Mr. Barton, if everybody's taxes went up $20, that would be $114,000 increase, tax increase. And I would like for the question to just be looked at. How can this be justified to the people on a 3% cost of living increase? That's what I've got. I've got this question to ask, for the board to ask themselves. This ain't right. It ain't right. It ain't right. Why? Why, when 24% of the citizens in Dickinson County live under the poverty level? You mentioned maybe a 1 or 2% increase in taxes. Well, 1 or 2% increase may not be much to some. And I'm fortunate enough, I can afford $20. But there are 20-some percent living below the poverty level that can't afford this. And this needs to be looked at and considered because, look, it ain't right. It's just not right. That's all I have to say. And I want to thank the board. Y'all do a very good job. I appreciate each one of you for getting back to me. I emailed all of you. A couple of you called me. Every one of you contacted me, some through emails. And I thank y'all for what you do.
Thank you. I didn't give out the number for the public that's listening. It's 276-333-0357 that you can call in and make a comment also. And that number is scrolling on the screen also. Anyone else with a public comment?
I've got a public comment.
Okay.
My name is Richard Green. I live on 112 Little Brushy Road, Coburn. The gentleman covered it pretty well, what he said about the taxes and stuff, about the people being in poverty. You also have to take in consideration that this county is one of the highest unemployment counties that they are in the state of Virginia. It's right up next to the top. You know, you're not only taking from people that really can't afford it, you're taking food off their table. You're taking food from their children. You know, when your taxes go up, you've got to pay them. There's no choice about that. So it either comes from your grocery money. I live, me and my wife by myself. I don't have kids at home. I don't have a problem eating. Look at my belly. Don't have a bit of problem. But I can tell you there are families down here that are struggling. And then you put the burden on the highest unemployment rate. You put the burden on people that really can't afford it. And I don't understand really how that you can justify that. And that's all I've got to say today.
Thank you. Anyone else got a public comment? Mr. Malton, no phone calls? Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I'm going to close public comment. Our next item on the agenda is new business, and it's an appointment for the Coal Road and Gas Advisory, and this is one that is court appointed, and it's currently Jeff Newberry. His appointment is up June the 30th.
I would like to make a motion to reappoint Mr. Newberry to that, to the judge, to ask him to reappoint him.
I'll second that.
They have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, this is a nomination, so if there's any more nominations, we'll leave nominations open and then close nominations and vote on them in the order they're received, so.
Is there any more nominations? If not, then we have made a I guess, a motion to reappoint Jeff Newberry or an appointment to appoint him, reappoint him. And I have a motion and a second. I was right.
Yeah, we didn't
Appointing.
need a second, but I done it anyway.
Okay. Mr. Hall, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
And Mr. Thacker?
Aye.
And Ms. Sless?
Yes.
And I also. That brings us down to 1B, and this is a resolution for Rocky Woods, and I'd like for Mr. Thacker to have the honor of reading our resolution into record.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rocky Wood is a lifelong friend of mine, and I'm honored to read this resolution if I can get through it.
Listen.
I'll do my best. The resolution states, whereas Rocky Wood lived a life of service to Dixon County, and whereas Rocky Wood served as vice mayor to the town of Hayside, chairman of the Building Code Committee of the Dixon County, chief of the Hayside Volunteer Fire Department, and Rocky Wood gave his life in the line of duty with the Virginia Department of Forestry on March 9th, 2023. Now therefore it be resolved to commemorate and honor the life of Rocky Wood, the Dixon County Board of Supervisors respectfully request the Commonwealth of Transportation Board and the Virginia Department of Transportation formally designate the bridge on Route 83 that crosses the Russell Fork River at the Hayside Volunteer Fire Department as the Rocky Wood Memorial Bridge. Be it further resolved that the County of Dickinson, Virginia will assume the cost for the fabrication and installation of signs for this naming, adopted this 26th day of March 2024.
Thank you, Richard. I know it's hard, right? Okay. We need a motion to accept this resolution that Mr. Thacker just read.
I make a motion that we accept this resolution of this worthy man.
And I'll second it.
Is there any more comments or any questions?
Also would like to recognize his wife that is here, Debbie.
Thank you all for doing this. It means a lot to everything.
I tell you what, yes, I've known Rocky ever since I've been on the Board of Supervisors, 16 years, and one of the most professional people that ever came before us. He never demanded that we give him this or give him that. He just always told us his concerns, very professional. And I always had such respect for him. And I didn't know him until I came on the board.
He was a busy man.
But he was always so polite to ask. Never rude, never demanding, just very polite.
I've known him all his life. I was with him the night that him and his wife got together.
We go way back.
We go way back.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yes, I second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second that we adopt this resolution. Ms. Celeste, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Mr. Thacker?
Yes.
And Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
And Mr. Hall?
Aye.
And I also. Very proud of what he did for the community.
I know his funeral was a sad, sad time, but you planned a beautiful service for him. I was glad I got to attend. I hated that I had to attend because of the reason, but you done a good job putting the service arrangements and stuff together.
But I had a lot of help.
Yes.
I'll just say one thing, if I can. Rocky is also being honored the first weekend in May in Emmitsburg, Maryland. He's being inducted into the National Fallen Firefighters Memorial. And also the first weekend of June into the Virginia State Fallen Firefighters Memorial. So my family and I will be attending the one in Richmond. So it's a big honor, and he just continues.
A big honor. on to the next item is to award the bid for the paving at the rehab center. And we had only 2 bids, right?
Correct, yes, Madam
And
Chair.
we're recommending that we take the lower bid.
Yes, and each one of you will have at your seat, in our packet, we had
Yeah.
all the information on the bid, but the bid opening wasn't until 2 o'clock yesterday after the packets went out. So
Right.
I sent this out to you yesterday. We have both bids, one from McFall Excavating and Paving for a total of $322,830, and that includes for paving the Chip Mill Road portion, which will be out of the Coal Road funds, and the rehab portion at the site itself for $166,000 for a total of $322,830. The only other bid we received was from Boyd's Construction for $493,640. And all of these bids was based on a unit price on that, based on the estimated quantities. So what we would be asking for would be a motion to enter into contract with McFall Excavating and Paving for the unit price amounts, and to give me authorization to sign the necessary documents to do so.
I'll read that motion. We need a motion to enter into a contract with McFall's Excavating and Paving for the paving of the Chip Mill Road Rehab Facility parking lot for the proposed unit price amount, and to give the county administrator authorization to sign the necessary documents. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, Ms. Celeste, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And Mr. Thacker?
Yes.
And Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
And Mr. Hall?
Aye.
And I also. The next thing on the agenda is the agreement with Davenport and Company.
Madam Chair, what this is an agreement with them just on an hourly basis to advise us as we get started out with trying to get the funding we need. As you know, we're trying to start a 5-year capital replacement budget. Richard and Chris and I met with each fire chief and rescue captain pretty much all day Friday from about 9 till 6, and talked about their needs and trying to get a jump start on budget. And that's one thing we're trying to do, is to lay out, their equipment replacement, their trucks, their ambulances, and, we're trying to work through the treasurer's office on some of our funding and some things to do to try to earn some more money there to help fund this budget. And we're asking for to enter into this agreement with Davenport for that purpose.
Do we have a motion to enter into this agreement with Davenport and Company?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion, to have a second?
I'll second.
And is there any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, how do you vote? Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Thacker?
Yes.
And Ms. Celeste?
Yes.
So it passes. Okay. The next thing on the agenda is the Opioid Abatement Authority.
Yes, Madam Chair, if I might on this, we have 3 things here under that. Of course, the due date is approaching to apply for the state funds through the Opioid Abatement Authority. And I had sent these out as soon as I got them yesterday from Cheryl Robinette. She's our drug court coordinator here in the county. And we're working, the first one that you have before you there is the Memorandum of Understanding between Russell County, Virginia, and Dickinson County Recovery and Russell County Recovery. And what this is basically is their application. We would be agreeing to support their application on behalf of these 2 agencies. That would be us partnering with Russell. Russell County would be serving as the fiscal agent on this application. And what they're looking for is Russell County also has a men's and women's residence, and both Dickinson County Recovery and Russell County Recovery have been operating under grant funding from VAR, the Virginia Association of Recovery Residences. They're also collecting user fees, from the residents that stay there, but they're looking for another continuing funding source to try to keep these programs operating within both counties. And so, there's no financial commitment or anything on our part. If you'll remember, back in the fall, winter, the county had given $75,000 of our direct opioid abatement funding to Dickinson County Recovery, and they're gonna be counting that as a match towards this. I think Russell County has given some of their direct contributions as well to Russell County Recovery to count as a match on this, so, so I guess that's all I have on that first one. I'll try to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Okay. Is that the one that's on here to be
It
read?
is, that we would
Okay.
need a
A
motion
motion.
approving the
Yes.
MOU and authorizing me to sign this memorandum of understanding that you have before you.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we authorize Mr. Barton to sign this memorandum of understanding with Russell County
And sign all the
and sign all the appropriate things.
papers, okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If none, how do you vote, Mr. Stafford?
Yes.
And Ms. Celeste?
Yes.
And Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
And Mr. Hall?
Yes.
And I also. And the next item on the agenda is the,
Madam Chair, we also have two more. We have the second one there, the Southwest Virginia Alcohol Safety Action Program, better known as VASAP. It's in the second part of that printout there
okay,
that I've sent out. Of course, this memorandum of understanding will be between Dickinson County, Virginia, and Southwest Virginia Alcohol Safety Action Program. Again, this is in partnership with Russell County, and they had asked if Dickinson County would serve as fiscal agent on this if they were successful in their application. And basically, VASAP has always operated in the past based upon user fees that are collected from the end users that are working to get their license back. They said through COVID, they have been struggling. If you'll recall, they made a general budget request to us of, I think, $5,000, I think. But they made a request to us for funding there. But they're trying to look at other funding sources to try to help keep this program going. So they're applying to the state opioid abatement funds. We would serve as fiscal agent, which would basically mean if they were successful, the state would pay the money to us and we would pay it to them. And they would have to report back to us the uses on that, and there's an annual report that we would have to do on those funds. That would be kind of what would entail with us on serving as fiscal agent for them. So again, it'd be the same request as before to, approve this, with me signing the MOU and Dickinson serving as fiscal agent. And before we get to that, also at the same time, they are requesting if the county would want to consider any match funds out of our direct appropriations of funds from the Opioid Abatement Authority. We only have about $13,300, I think is what we have remaining right now in those. There's more monies coming in. You don't have to, it's an optional thing, but that's the two requests that they had on this, was approval of this and then any consideration of matching funds.
do y'all have a copy of those to read also?
Yeah, we have a copy of it.
Okay, so we
I
need, yeah, you do, don't you? Okay. We need to have a motion then that we go into this agreement with Southwest Alcohol Council Safety Program. And also, if you want to provide any of the funding to help out with that, we need that motion also. What's your all's desire?
If a motion should come out of this with any funding that would come from the opioid abatement money that we have, then is that still something that would still be in our budget that they would ask us for?
No, I think it'd be one or the other, I think, so, on that, so.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we enter into this memorandum of understanding with the Southwest Virginia Alcoholic Safety Action Board with the Virginia Opioid Abatement Authority with a $5,000 from that $13,000 remaining as a contribution.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second to this agreement?
I'll second it.
Okay, and you agree with the 5,000, right? Because she made a motion for the 5,000 also in her motion.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this issue?
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Larry a question.
Sure.
The match. They're
Yes.
wanting to use this money as a match for the grant?
Yes, as far as some of our direct payment of opioid abatement funds is what they're asking if we want to consider giving anything as a match. It makes a stronger application by doing so, but it's not required. I think what Dana, the third application that Dana has, we don't have a match on.
And there is a specific, only specific items that these opioid abatement funds can be used for. There has to be some form of what qualifies as abatement, and those are regulations that are set forth by the lawsuits, settlements that we've had with the pharmaceutical companies that brought all of this money to the state. So just to let that be known that it's a very specific use, very limited use of what these funds can actually be used for.
So could that 5,000 be used for this?
Yes.
Yes, anything that we've done, we've always went to the state and got approval to make sure that it meets the gold standard, because we want to make sure that up front before any commitments are made. And this was followed up on when Cheryl looked at making this application in conjunction with BASAP, so.
Now, the 5,000, they're looking for a match. What would the grant total be? What would be the match on the grant, do you know?
This is just a memorandum of understanding. They're still working on their grant paperwork. They don't have a total that they've provided us with yet, but it is dollar for dollar.
So this would just be a contribution toward that match, not the whole match?
No, it'd only be just a fixed amount. You know, I don't.
Okay.
And this sort of, I guess in a way, pulls it out of our abatement money and not in our budget money.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, I forgot.
That's fine. You're talking to Larry, that's all. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve this, motion with the 5,000 from our opioid funds. And if there's no other discussion, Mr. Hall, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
And Mr. Thacker?
Aye.
And Ms. Slaughter?
Yes.
And I also.
Then Dana has one more that she'll share.
Okay, go ahead,
Yes,
Dana.
I thank you all very much. So, as I explained before, just a little bit more information regarding the Opioid Abatement Authority. The way that the state designated those funds that were received from these lawsuit settlements is that there was a certain percentage that went to each locality, and that's what you just awarded the $5,000 out of for the match. And then there is a large pot of money that went into a fund that is used for what they call joint, I've said this 14 times
Yes.
today. Cooperative partnership applications. And so, sorry, I apologize. So the purpose of those is to have multiple localities come together to make an application to be able to have access to the $1 billion pot of money that is specifically set aside for opioid abatement. So as we all know, we're working on the Wildwood Recovery Center project, and we're very fortunate because Addiction Recovery Care has provided one of their staff members to work on an application for us for funding for a project up there. And I'm just going to read you a little bit of information about what we've been working on. So what we're working on is, in addition to the facility that's already there, is adding the Wildwood Health and Wellness Center. And it's specifically designed to serve a wide spectrum of individuals within Southwest Virginia, focusing on those directly impacted by the opioid crisis, families seeking substance use treatment and recovery services, and the broader community in need of mental health support, primary health care, and wellness programs. Targeted groups include individuals experiencing substance misuse, people in recovery, at-risk youth, families affected by substance use disorders, and first responders requiring training on crisis intervention and overdose response. Annually, the Wildwood Health and Wellness Center aims to engage and provide comprehensive services to approximately 1,500 individuals. The projection is based on identified needs within the community, the capacity of the proposed programs, and the anticipated increase in demand for holistic health and wellness services. By offering a range of support from prevention to recovery, including fitness, nutrition, mental health services, the center seeks to foster a healthier, more resilient community, making significant strides towards addressing the health challenges faced by residents of Dickinson County and Southwest Virginia. So this application would be a joint application with some of our neighboring localities We have 3 or 4 of those that have committed to partnering with us on this project. We are not asking for a match from Dickinson County or from any of the other localities. We're making a large request in the amount of $3,463,196.50. That would include the construction costs, equipment and technology, programs and services, outreach and education, and staffing and operations. We're currently working with the health department and have asked them for an MOU between Addiction Recovery Care and the health department to provide services with regards to infectious disease, vaccinations, and those types of things, working with the Addiction Recovery Care. And the goal will be for the facility to be available to those in the community, not just folks who are participating in treatment at Wildwood or any of the other addiction recovery care facilities in the region. So again, we are not asking for a match for this application. We're making a rather large ask in hopes that we can get some of this funding that was allocated to the state back into Southwest Virginia to be able to work on the treatment for the people of the region that were the most impacted by the opioid epidemic. So the request tonight would be for approval for the Dickinson County to be the fiscal agent for this project, as Mr. Barton explained earlier, for the BASAP application as well. We're still working on all the memorandums of understanding. However, there is a template that's being used that you have before you for the other 2 projects, and it would be the same exact template for that. Does anybody have any
So we're
questions?
gonna do another motion for that one also?
It would be a separate motion, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is it on here? It's
No,
not.
it'd be the same thing. To give you
It'd be the
authorization
same
to
thing.
sign and
It's the one that we were
We're trying.
partnering with
It's the
Russell.
same.
So
I'll
we
make
need
that
another motion to that effect.
Right, yes.
I make that motion that the MOU, but doesn't require a match that Dana was speaking about. I make that motion.
I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on that motion?
Dana? Madam Chair, this ain't costing the county anything, this is
No, they're just applying.
just an agreement to,
That's correct, and,
Be the
you know,
fiscal agent
if we
for our
don't, if we
grant.
don't ask, we won't get it. So we're gonna
Yeah.
make the application, and they may come back and offer, you know, make some agreements for a lower amount. I don't know, but just looking at the applications from some of the other larger areas that I feel were impacted less by the opioid epidemic have been approved, I think we have a fair chance, so I think it's worth
So
Worth
how much
asking.
of that is it $3 million you said?
a
How
little
much
over
is-
2 million of it is for the building itself, for the construction.
Of Wildwood?
No, of this facility, of the health and wellness center.
So where would that be?
It would be co-located with the Wildwood Recovery Center.
Oh, okay.
Any more discussion on the issue? Then we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve that application that she's applying for.
Already made the motion.
And I had a second, right?
Yes, Richard.
Richard seconded. Okay. Mr. Hall, how do you vote?
aye.
And Ms. Kaiser, how do you vote? Aye. And Mr. Thacker?
Yes.
And Ms. Celeste?
Yes.
And I also. Okay. That took care of all of those, right? Okay. Now we're down to Good Friday holiday, and the state or the federal government does not recognize Good Friday as a holiday, but it's being kind of brought up and requested, and we've discussed it about giving our employees either a half a day or a full day for Good Friday. And we would have to have a motion on either a full day or a half a day for Friday, or no motion at all to not recognize.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we give a full day for Good Friday.
This is county employees, correct?
Yes.
And we'll have to, I guess I'll need a second first, and then we'll discuss it. Do we have a second to give them a full day?
I second. I think it's we give Christmas, Easter's, it's just as important or more important, celebrating the death, burial, and resurrection of our Lord.
Okay, now it's open for discussion. I have a motion and a second for a full day, Friday, what day is Friday? The 29th?
29th.
It is, because that ball game Thursday. It's 29th. Also, we need to, in this motion, we will have to determine if there'll be garbage pickup that day. And I don't think we could get
Relay
enough
notice.
information out to the people not to set their trash out
In 3 days.
in 3 days. So I think they would have to work, but they get holiday pay for working, correct?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Because I don't think we could get the notice out.
It'd be difficult, because we normally try to put it in the newspaper and social media and try to get the word out ahead of time, so.
Any more discussion on it? If not, we have a motion and a second to give our county employees, with the exception of our transfer station and our truck shop, both together,
They'd
right?
have to both be open, yes.
A full day off Friday. How do you vote, Ms. Celeste?
Yes.
Mr. Thacker?
I have to abstain as it would directly affect me as an employee of the county.
Okay. Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
And Mr. Hall?
Aye.
And I also, because I know a lot of parents have their children home that day and they need to spend time with their children also. So, I think this is the first time we've ever done this in the county, is to give our employees off Good Friday, but it's a special holiday for Christians. Now, I have a request from Haysock Kiwanis. Is that our next thing on
Yes, ma'am.
the agenda? I will sign the full day one.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Don't want to take any more of your time. We appreciate y'all putting us on the agenda late. I know you've got a stressful job ahead of you with the reassessments and setting the tax rates. Me and Kevin were looking at each other, man. We said we picked a good night to come ask for money.
I said let's postpone.
He said let's postpone, but me and Kevin and Jason Deal, who you all know, and Audra Oquin with the Army Corps of Engineers, I think you all know her. We have decided to try to reestablish Kids Fishing Day in Dickinson County. And I know I'm sure some of you have memories of how big that used to be. In 2020, when COVID hit, they stopped doing it. So it's been 3 years without Kids Fishing Day in Dickinson County. And the four of us have kind of got together and tried to revamp it, restart it. And we started a little bit later than we probably should have. But nonetheless, we've got a date set for May 11th to do Kids Fishing Day again in Dickinson County. And we are aggressively fundraising, so we're not just here tonight relying on the board and late in your budget season, but we are here tonight to make a humble request. And I know, obviously, I know better than anybody or as good as anyone that you all do have your recreational expense accounts for your districts, which I'm sure are getting low. Explain that a little bit to Kevin. But what we're mainly interested in and in need of, we're purchasing fish for tanks. So the game department is going to stock the Russell Fork as it comes out of the spillway. They're going to do that for free. They're going to stock that. But we're trying to get tanks, and we've had some of our volunteer fire departments that have donated tanks that we're going to have for our special needs children, maybe even elderly people that may want to use it, and smaller children to have the opportunity to fish from the tank. And that's a pretty heavy expense to stock that with the fish. I got a quote me and Audra did and passed it along to me. It's going to be $1,000 to stock those tanks for those fish. And we're trying to give away prizes. We want to make sure that each child has a fishing pole in their hand that day. We're going to feed the children. We're going to have games for the children. And we would hope that the board would consider at least a small contribution. Again, I know I'm familiar with your recreational expense funds, which again, I'm sure are low. But I thought, you know, you hear a lot of negativity, and you got a very hard job in your budget season coming up. And so I'm very, myself personally, sensitive to that. But let's bring some positivity tonight and to Dickinson County. And I think this is going to be a very, very big success based on the reactions we're getting from people, the gratitude that we're getting, and the donations we're getting. It's been unbelievable, the people stepping up to even contribute $50 or $100. But I don't want you to think we're just relying on you and begging. We're doing the work too, and we've got significant amount of contributions already. We've been very blessed, and we're humbled to do it. But if you all would consider even a small lump sum appropriation, we would sincerely appreciate it. And we understand if you may not be able to, but if even 1,000, 1,500, or 2,000 would really help us get this off the ground. I done Kids Fishing Day when I was little. I didn't do it as much as Kevin did. Kevin has some pretty intimate memories of it and can explain more maybe how big of a deal it once was. I know Richie may, he probably helped work it a lot and park, and people would be parked down the mountain trying to get to Kids Fishing Day. But what we're doing, and we're being completely transparent, we're working with the Haysi Kiwanis, excuse me, to funnel the money through their organization. And so each business and individual that makes a check, it goes to Haysi Kiwanis in the memo line. It is Kids Fishing Day. And so that helps obviously with transparency, and we want to make sure that it's all done right, and all done, you know, for the children, and that's it. So, and again, I'll let Kevin speak a little bit about his memories of it, but that's where we are, and we would really just be so humbled and appreciative if you could give us something to get this off the ground. And we're happy to answer any questions about our plans for the money, or any questions you have whatsoever. We want you all to be a part of it, and we hope you all might come and enjoy the day with us.
Basically, I can remember doing this as a child, and I guess my biggest fond memory is just what it instilled in me was, you know, being there, seeing my family, my friends, running around as a kid, you know, fishing and catching fish and playing the games there with the kids, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. I just can't thank it enough. I'm thankful for those memories. I just hope that the board will consider giving us a donation for this. And we're just trying, we found out, I actually received a phone call and was asked if I would help try to get this up and running. And I made a phone call over here to my buddy, and he helped spearhead this as well to get everything running. But we're trying hard. We kind of got late in the game, but I mean, within 2 days of having a phone call made from the Corps of Engineers wanting to know if we could try to help bring this together for the kids again, we've jumped full force, and we're on, and hopefully we can get some funding if you all are willing.
But like I said, we're working closely with the Corps. Audra has been wonderful, and so it's not just a couple of people here just begging for money. These are serious organizations. The Corps of Engineers is a very serious organization. They're actually buying the fish for the river. So they are purchasing the fish from the Virginia Game Department for the river. And then the big chunk of money that we're looking at is the fish for the tanks for, again, the special needs children, the small children, and folks that can't necessarily, you know, everybody knows the terrain down there is pretty rough. So if you have a child in a wheelchair, a child that's, you know, limited in mobility, it's going to be tough for them to get there on the riverbank. So that's our biggest probably expense. And then, of course, the food and the prizes and just making sure, you know, my hope is if we have 100 kids, every kid goes home with a fishing pole. That's kind of my dream. But whatever you can do, if you can do anything, would be sincerely appreciated. And it's all up front with the money. Again, full transparency. Jason, he spoke before our board before. Professional business person, professional treasurer with the Kiwanis Club. He's A1 top notch. I think he's actually working with Larry to formally get their 501c3 status. So everything he does is above water, and you can trust him, and you know us. So anything you might consider doing would be appreciated beyond measure. Appreciate you all.
But,
And if you have any questions.
You remember, we don't give it the day that you ask, we wait a month
Well,
to vote it out, other than, I think some of us may have some funds in our recreation fund. but
however y'all would like to do
I
it.
think two of them are completely out.
Yeah, well, I've been there. I've been there.
So
but-
I have funds left and I plan to send a donation. I just was in the process of trying to find out who it needs to go to, but you established that by going
Yes,
to
ma'am,
Hayside.
So we-
and I can come by and I'm kind of collecting it and giving it to Jason to do the banking
Okay.
piece of it. You know, we're on opposite ends of the county, so it kind of helps us both. He's working that in, I'm working this in, and we're working together in the middle,
So we would write the check to the
Hey,
Hayside.
Kiwanis, and then just put it in the memo or however,
Kids
fishing.
that way it
Fishing day, okay.
specifically goes to the kids' fishing
All right,
day.
thank you.
We thank
Thank
you all
y'all
very
for
much.
coming.
Thanks.
Okay, now I have another one from Hayside Kiwanis, correct?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
They threw me off.
Yeah, that one wasn't listed on the
That
agenda.
wasn't listed, so
No.
they just listed it as Hayside
Madam Chair, I'm
Kiwanis.
sorry, I did want to say, if you do consider doing something, May 11th is our date. We are trying to set our budget as quickly as possible to begin making, again, we know we started a little bit late, but if it is on your heart or on in your ability to do so, the quicker the better, but
All right.
we do understand the slowness of government, but, we're trying to get our budget set and start moving as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Okay, our next request is from Hayside Kiwanis. And they are trying to do 2 pickleballs and 2 tennis
Right.
courts.
I was looking to see if Mr. Yates was here. I thought Mr. Yates was gonna be here, but something may have came up. But basically, if you'll remember last year, it's been almost a year ago now, the Kiwanis that came to us, Mr. Yates had presented an application for ARPA of $34,045 to refurbish 2 tennis courts and modify 1 court into 2 pickleball courts, and that was for $31,000. And the other part of that request was $3,045 to upgrade the softball field for Little League use, new bases and infield repairs with brick dust covering. So the second part they've took care of, we was able to do that last year. But if you'll recall, Mr. Peters wanted a new lease negotiated with them before anything could be done on the courts. And
Right.
so that was a delayed process, getting through that, getting that negotiated. By the time the lease was done and adopted on that, the contractor, they went out for bids, they'd advertised for bids, and a local company, Mean Steam Pressure Washing, had the low bid. And it was getting later in the year, he was booked up, and then it got to fall where the nights were cooler and he couldn't get it done. So along comes spring, and Mr. Honecker went down and looked at it again, and they're wanting to change the original plan to refurbish 2 tennis courts into 4 pickleball courts, and then refurbish 1 tennis court to remain as a tennis court. And the price did change, but I'm told, the price didn't change because of the difference in work, but just increase in materials and increase in labor is what was shared with us as to the increase. The original quote is in your board packet, $31,000 to $35,000, and I put at the top in red that ARPA funding of $31,000 was approved originally. That's what they'd asked for, and so now it's went up by $5,000 to $36,000 to $40,000, and the Hayside Kiwanis are requesting if the board could help them with some additional funding to make this project happen.
Well, for me, I don't think they would ever use 4 pickleball courts because they've got one at Poplar Gap. And we've been over there for birthday parties and things, and there's not many people, I've never seen anybody on it because I went to see what pickleball was. But anyway, I've never seen anybody on it. But they say that they are people coming from Hayside of the evening to use it, like there's a team that comes. And I just don't see that they would use 4 pickleball.
Right, they're telling me that really that change isn't what's raising the price, because I think they've done some different things. The Kiwanis are buying the nets, and they made some changes so that it's just really either way they went. They told me that the price just went up because of materials and labor on whether it's 2 tennis and 2 pickleball or 4 pickleball and 1 tennis, because it's those same 3 courts. But
To me, I think this is something that we would need to discuss in our budget workshops to see if we can, as you know, we're in the red with our budget right now. And if we do this, that's gonna put us even deeper in the red. And,
Well, we would
I mean, it's the
try.
pleasure of the board.
Right, pleasure of the board, and of course, I did pull our log here to see, we have, $31,331 remaining in our ARPA account because we left some money there at the end in case, we still have, several projects that we're still working on that,
They
are
may go
encumbered
up
but not
also.
complete that we could run into overages on, so.
What's the pleasure of the board for Hayeside Kiwanis request?
I think we need, I would prefer to discuss it as part of the budget. And then, people is making comments on us giving out so much money to organizations and nonprofit when it's taxpayers' money. So we probably need to discuss it in budget. That would be my thought. That, because it could fall back under ARPA during budget time, or what?
Then will we know all of our projects that's under that, ARCA, when will all those be completed?
It's still gonna be a while. We've got through the end of 2024. We're probably gonna be pushing that date, getting everything done that we're working on, so.
Right,
on
so we
that,
need
so-
to hold some just in case some
Right,
of
that's the
our
reason we left
projects has
some.
went up also.
Correct. That's the reason we held what we held previously was because of that, but,
So how much are they asking for? 9,000, 6,000?
well, the original quote was 31,000 to 35,000, and, they requested 31,000 is what they requested. So they didn't make an official request for an amount. They just asked for additional money to help them, but the bid did go up from 31 to 35 to 36 to 40, so basically 5,000 on each end it went up, so.
So are they asking for 5,000?
I would take it as 5,000 since they asked for 31 last time. That was on the low end. I would take it as 5,000 that they're asking for.
For the low end of 36.
Yeah, that's what
That's what they did on the last one. I've got the
4,000,
original
yeah.
application here.
There's nobody here from the Kiwanis.
No, I met with them on Thursday. I was down there, met with Mr. Hay on that. He explained all this to me and what they were doing and things. But, like I said, he indicated that Mr. David Yates was going to come to the meeting and something may have come up there. But I do know they're anxious to try to get something done because with the contractor and things, it's a pretty big job, going to take some time, needs to get it on the schedule to commit the time, and of course they can't commit without the money, so that's what kind of happened last year. We were delayed with the lease, and by the time they could commit, they had other jobs and couldn't get to it till fall, and the weather got cool.
I've had several messages, and emails from people in the Sand Lake district requesting that we try to put some pickleball courts in that district. We have several players. I know of a lot myself that goes and plays Poplar Gap. They come over here to Clintwood to play. But that's the thing, this people in the Sand Lake district always have to go somewhere else to do something because we don't have anything. So I don't think it'd hurt us to put $5,000 toward the Sand Lake districts. We haven't had a lot put our way.
We can initially pull it out of that ARPA that's remaining.
Mr. Thacker, I have to disagree. I had to calm Mr. Peters down once because everything that we were voting out went to Sand Lake District. And even in our ARCA funds, everything we were voting out went to Hayside District, or Sand Lake District, I say. So you're not left out. Because we did a lot for them during our ARCA funds at Mr. Peters' request. But it's up to the pleasure of the board. So you could make a motion to that effect and see if it goes. For me, I'd rather wait for budget.
I'm not for giving money out of budget either, but I don't know where the ARPA money went that came to Sand Lake unless it went to the fire department or rescue.
It was fire, mostly fire, wasn't it?
Mostly rescue, actually.
Know our
Rescue
people.
and fire, yeah.
People
Madam
doesn't
Chair,
have
can I
lot
ask
to
a
do
question?
down there as far as recreation.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes.
You had talked to Kiwanis about this. Did they indicate that they might have some funds to contribute to it also, or?
They didn't indicate, they just, asking the board to consider helping them, try to get this project complete, because they, a lot of people in the community had asked about it, was looking forward to it,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and like Richard said, there is a lot of people that play pickleball now that are around, and they do have to travel. They're going to Buchanan County and things. But
They just play in the Glenwood Elementary.
this is for the total cost of doing all the work.
The 36 to 40, yes. Now, I'll take that back, because what Mr. Hay told me is that when they made that change to take that other tennis court, because it's going from one net to two nets, they'd worked with Brad on that, where you had to set different poles and take some poles out. Hayside Kiwanis is buying the nets. Originally, it was supposed to be on the contractor, but to try to keep everything equal, they're going to buy the nets for the pickleball and things to do that, to make up any difference, because they're saying that the increase in price has nothing to do with the changes on the courts, it's just increase in labor and material.
And it's all public access, anytime, no restrictions.
And that's part of the lease that Mr. Peters wanted to negotiate, to make sure, that was documented in the lease, that it was open to public all the time.
And they make money off of their campgrounds, correct?
My understanding,
Does it stay fairly full?
that I don't know, I don't know.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
McClure Kiwanis, I am no longer a member of McClure Kiwanis, and I was up until 2018. But the walking track that's around the ball field at McClure, the playground, the blue mulch that they put down, all of that had no donations from the county. It was all done before anything to do with ARPA. McClure Kiwanis raised that money for everything that they got that is open to the public. There is, there was no contributions unless somebody gave them a donation, or I think I gave them a donation to help finish getting the money for that blue rubber mulch. But no county money was ever put into McClure Kiwanis for their playground or anything, walking track or anything. They paid for their walking track, having it paved and fixed.
The county ordered their playground equipment through their federal ID number, so they wouldn't have to pay sales tax on
Right.
it. And that was the only thing that we did for them.
Yeah, Kiwanis paid the county,
Yeah.
paid the bill.
Yeah, they paid the bill, but we ordered it through the county to save them some sales tax on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I understand Clintwood Kiwanis is in a position, or where their location is, they don't have playground and they don't have activities to offer to the county. But Clintwood Kiwanis is just out the road from the town of Clintwood's playground, kids park. And there's a Clinchco Kiwanis, and Clinchco Kiwanis meets in the town hall, I think, is where they meet. And they don't have no kind of activity. There's a playground down there on Mill Street, but it's not part of Clinchco Kiwanis. So Hayside Kiwanis and McClure Kiwanis, I think, is the only two that has actual places for activities for families, children to go. But McClure Kiwanis paid for everything of theirs.
Okay. Do we have a motion or anything on the Hayside Kiwanis request? If not, we'll go to other business. And Mr. Shelley Mullins, I always recognize my elected officials if they come, and I apologize that I didn't give you the opportunity to speak.
That's okay.
And if you want to speak on any of the reassessment or anything from your office, please feel free to do so.
The only thing I would say is just reiterate what you and Larry covered. You know, the process, reassessment cycle, state mandated every 6 years. You know, it could be done on a 4-year cycle, but anyway, you know, they just need to follow the appeals process, call the number, state your case. You know, everything on the reassessment is done. It's based off of sales studies, fair market values and things. The county or the assessment firm, either one, didn't just go out and just throw numbers on things. They legitimately have to have sales studies and documentation in order to be able to raise those values. And, you know, as Larry stated, the tax rate, I think they're going to try to, you know, the board, I understand the board's going to try to work with the tax rate, but, you know, Larry's 100% right. You know, until the land books are turned over, you don't know what the tax base is. And it is state code that every reassessment, the value has to be assessed at 100%. So, you know, and at the end of the day, most people, if you're going to sell a property, you want it assessed at the utmost value you can, you know. So it's kind of a give and take on both sides. But they're following state code, they're following every process. I understand from the appeals board, I've talked to them several times. You know, they're working with people, taking their concerns, and you know, I've talked to some people that's been in the appeals process, and I think everybody's come out pretty happy that I have talked to, so that's a good thing. So it's just all part of the process. I know it's not a good time with inflation and that kind of thing, but it is just kind of a rough time, you know. I do understand it. I know a lot of people has issues, people on fixed income. We have got a massive amount of phone calls each and every day this week, you know. You know, Larry pointed out all the topics, you know. They don't come into your home. You know, they may miss something. They may have had a building that you tore down, you know. Shelby, you hit on the thing, you know, there's things that it shows on your land card and coming out of my office that it don't actually show on your assessment ticket, which that's okay. Anybody feels free, wants to come by, we'd be glad to, you know. And that's the thing, you know, I ain't saying that they couldn't miss anything's possible, you know.
It is.
But, you know, building permits and stuff's picked up, and just a lot of things, you know. We all make mistakes, and certainly want a good outcome for the citizens of Dixon County.
Hope I don't put a burden on you, but they really need those copies to look at detail of how your property is assessed. It has your acreage, how much each acre is assessed, how much each building is assessed. It's very detailed.
And I've had several phone calls, and I certainly try to dig and try to see what the issue is, okay? First and foremost, if somebody's got a legitimate complaint, and this one comes off the top of my head, I got a call, and, you know, I shared this with Larry the other day. It was a home that was actually, at one point, was in commercial status, and their percentage was 120%. But when it was taken back out of commercial status, things was changed, considerably cut down, customers happy, or citizens happy, and that's what it's all about, you know. So, all right.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. I have to say, Mr. Shelley Mullins, Mr. Mullins might be several stand up, but I appreciate you coming.
You're welcome.
And our next thing on the agenda is we need to schedule a public hearing for fiscal year 2024-25 tax levy, and this will be held on April the 23rd at 5:30 p.m. So we'll have 30 minutes for comments on the tax levy on April the 23rd if we vote for a public hearing. Do I have a motion to schedule public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, thank you all. And is there any discussion? If not, how do you vote? Ms. Celeste?
Yes.
Mr. Thacker?
Yes.
Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
And Mr. Hall?
Aye.
And I also. Now, we're down to supervisors' comments. I will start with Ms. Celeste. Do you have a comment?
And I just wish everybody a happy Easter. We're having an Easter hunt tomorrow at the Church of Puther Chapel and invite children to come if you like to. We're gonna have inflatables and something to eat. But I wish everybody a happy Easter.
Mr. Thacker, you have any comment?
I'd just like to wish everybody a happy Easter also. And also I'd like to thank Debbie and her daughter for being here for the resolution for Rocky. There's another thing that's coming up that it doesn't cost anything, so, but I'm gonna try to help Debbie organize it. It's gonna be a night where all the fire departments in the county will light up their stations at one time, and maybe we can.
It's a national event that they do, it's called Light the Night.
Yeah.
For fallen firefighters, and what they encourage, like local fire rescue, police, public entities, things like that, for a period of 5 days is what I've designated that we would like to do it, from May the 1st through May the 5th. That coincides with that National Firefighters Weekend. And that's just, you put a red light outside your facility or your home or whatever, for a period of 5 days. And of course, for our locality, that will honor Rocky. And so we'll be sending in pictures and just some information about what our county has done to honor the fallen. So we'll be getting some more information about our local firefighters and businesses. Of course, in the town of Hayside, I really hope that we show up big for that. So,
Thank you,
we'll be
Dee.
getting that coordinated within the next few weeks.
Excellent, thank
If you
you.
need a red light, we'll get it.
Yeah.
You said from May the 1st to the 5th?
May,
the 1st through the 5th.
yeah, 1st to the
We'll be
5th.
doing that.
Anything else, Mr.
That's all I have.
Ms. Kaiser? Do you have a public comment?
I just appreciate everybody that's come out. I understand you're concerned on taxes. Just give us a little bit of time for the paperwork to come back to Larry, for us all to discuss what we need to do and come up with an amount that we are all here to help the citizens and not just say, well, we got a chance to make more tax money and we're gonna let it go. You know, we don't have that kind of idea. But we have to be given time to get this done. And we want to do stuff for our citizens. And with Easter coming up, Easter eggs is all for children, for the fantasy that the Easter Bunny has came. There's an Easter egg hunt Saturday at McClure Kiwanis. There's one at the Thunder Campground in Hayside for Hayside Clinchco Lions Club. There's an egg hunt at the Breaks Park, I think, on Saturday. Puther Chapel's doing theirs tomorrow night. But everybody remember that Sunday morning, Christ arose for all of our sins. That
Amen.
Everybody needs to declare God in their life. And all of us need to go out and teach our children Sunday morning that this is the day that has been set aside to recognize our Christ being raised. And the stone was rolled away from the tomb to give us a chance for eternal life. Thank you all for coming.
Mr. Hall?
Well said.
I wasn't planned either.
That was good. That's, just happy Easter, everybody. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I'd just like to recognize the people picking up trash again along the roads. It's a problem in all the counties. I think people's just lost a lot of respect and stuff for their communities, and so there's anybody that volunteers to go pick somebody else's trash up, you know, they've got my respect. So, and the kids for in their academic awards and stuff, that is great. That speaks volumes for our school system. So they're doing a great job. So, that's it.
your turn, then, isn't it?
My turn. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for your comments tonight. And I think Peggy made an outstanding statement concerning Easter. And our church, I go to Roseby Free Will Baptist Church, and our church shares sunrise service with 2 other churches. We take it time about. And this year it's at Yates Chapel at 6 o'clock in the morning. Anyone that wants to come to sunrise service, be there at 6 o'clock, and then they serve breakfast afterwards. And I would like to wish all of our county employees a wonderful day off for Friday. And I think that was one thing that we could really do for them. They work hard, and I'm putting extra burden on Commissioner's office. I know that. I've been there. So anyway, I appreciate them also, and I know they'll do a good job with our citizens, helping them get a copy of their real estate cards if they need. And I appreciate everyone's attention tonight, and everyone have a wonderful, safe weekend and a holiday.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.